What's going on, everybody? It is the 18th of April. Today, we're going to take a look over at Casper cryptocurrency, but first, we're going to take a pretty brief look here at Bitcoin and kind of see what's going on and potentially what we could see moving forward here as we start to, as Bitcoin and some of the other markets start to dip their feet here in some bearish territory. So does that hold? Well, we will take a deeper dive here and look, and then we'll go over and take a look at Casper and kind of what I see, some support resistance areas. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and consider doing so. A lot of the viewers not yet part of the channel yet, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button. All right, so taking a look here at Bitcoin. Now we're going to zoom in quite a bit here to some recent times. So basically, actually, you know what? We're going to change that up. We're going to zoom out a bit. So for the past year, back in basically since April of 21, looks like the 14th of April, we hit a high up there in the $65,000 range. So from April until current times, we have been in this choppy, sideways, ranging action. I'll throw a box around this and you'll see what I'm talking about. We have been in this trading zone for over 1 year. We have been chopping up and down in this range, in this box, call it what you will, for 1 year's time. And this range is big. This range goes from, looks like 30,000 all the way up into the high 60,000s to the mid 60,000s, depending on which high you want to look at. So that is obviously a very stepped back view here. Something of concern that I see here is we have basically this rising, almost looks like a right shoulder of a Head and Shoulders, a rising wedge pattern. And we are starting to get a break below that between today and it looks like yesterday's trading session here. So that is a little bit of a concern. One, because this could lead to a much larger move back down to here into the $30,000 level. And it could really start the next downtrend here in Bitcoin, taking us back down to some lower levels. So that's also a stepped out view. More of a zoomed in view here for Bitcoin is we obviously put in a higher high, which has failed and rolled over. And now we're heading into lower lows, lower highs. And today we actually dipped our toes here into a new low, into a lower low. Now, whether it's starting to wick up quite a bit on the candle, I'll zoom in here. We're getting that wick back above those lows. So those lows were, let's see, what is this low here? 39,219. And we are at 39.4. So we are up above that. So perhaps this is a shakeout move and we will continue higher. But if it starts to fade back down throughout today's trading session, that would still confirm the downtrend on the short term. And then the much longer term is we have that rising wedge here. And that would put us below that as well, which is a bit of a concern for, first of all, the general market, because most of these assets follow Bitcoin. And then obviously second for Bitcoin futures, and so on. So we're in some interesting times here to see what happens with the rest of the market. Let's go ahead and throw a couple fibs up here. So we'll take this swing high, and then we'll go down to that swing low right in there, right around that 30,000. And you can see some areas of some issue areas, the 236, which correlates with this price action, some resistance, And then this higher high that came in, which has failed, is right at the 382 fib level. And then you can see this area, which is also, we had plenty of candle wicks, price resistance. So that is that. To the downside, let's see. We'll have to take a larger look. So we'll go back to looks like let's see where we're at here, over in here. The 2017 high right around 20,000, and then that low, which was around, I think it was 3,000. Yeah, give or take. Basically right there. And then that'll give us some areas in more recent times that we could potentially look for the price to. So what is that fib level there? So that was the 1618. So if we break below, let's say we break below, basically it looks like a right shoulder on a head and shoulders. It's got a rising, not so much a wedge, but it's a rising. It's basically a bearish pattern. If that breaks down below, the 1618 takes us right down, back down to this $30,000 level, which could be support, because over in here, excuse me, over in here, we did find support there. If that doesn't hold, you're heading lower, back down into those old highs from 2017, 2018 of 20,000, which is right over here. So quite the bearish look here on Bitcoin. And then we'll also take a look to the upside, see what we can see here. If that 20,000 fails, then you're heading down to this $13,000 level. That's the next area, and that's at the 618 fib. Give or take around there, because we have some other areas of potential support here. So that's on the bearish scenario, and you can see from that swing high to 20K to the swing low to 3,000, Bitcoin retraced all the way up to the 3618 perfectly, and has double topped there so far. I mean, so that is the bearish scenario for Bitcoin. Let me clear this chart here. Let's take this most recent swing high to swing low, and then we'll take a zoom in here and kind of see what the fibs tell us to the upside. So if you're bullish on Bitcoin, which right now we are not, we need to see basically need to see a higher low get printed and then a higher high. So basically, if this is a shakeout, call this today a shakeout, and we start to swing up, we'll print a higher low. Perhaps it'll be support at the 236, and then we'll start to get those higher highs, and that is when we would be more bullish on Bitcoin. Definitely not bullish right now. So let's go back to the fibs, swing high to swing low. And so let's say that does play out. We print that higher low and higher high. The upper targets are way up in here into the 90, 127, 163, 185. So those are six-figure Bitcoin targets using this most recent swing high to swing low up in here in the $100,000 plus area. So, I mean, you got a lot of work to do before you get there, but things are looking a bit bearish on Bitcoin right now, and that definitely will weigh on the overall market, if not all of the assets. So let's check out Casper. Let's see what we can do here. All right, so this is a look at Casper, and we'll take this probably be a little bit more of a quicker look here. Obviously pulling back here down 4.2% for the day, and we're sitting at an important area. So if I draw a box on the chart all the way back to looks like July of 21. Looks like Casper is trying to find support on the top end of this box. And the top end of that box also correlates with this other price action here, which was resistance until it got broke on the, looks like that was the 6th of August. So that would be good, because when we double bottomed, we put in a bottom here, we double bottomed with this bottom over here, put in a double bottom over here. Then we broke out of this box in this area, found resistance at the 200 day, which is right there. Now we're pulling back. So we want to see the price find support on the top of this white box. If the price breaks back down below it, there's a good chance it'll break below it, trade back up at some point, and it'll be once again resistance at it. It'll find a new home back in that area. Not what you want to see for the bulls. But like I said, depending on what Bitcoin does, we'll probably have a lot of say in what a lot of these other assets decide to do. So right now we have wicked right down into that box, pretty much quite perfect, as you can tell from today's candle. If I zoom in, we're sitting right there on top of that box. So perfect bullish scenario is we start to wick back higher and then trade higher once again. So this is still a higher low for Casper. So we put in a low right here, traded up, still a lower high, printed that higher low right there, put in that higher high. So we're in a new confirmed uptrend, and now we are back down here. So far, this is still a higher low. So we do see that change in trend, which is for an uptrend, higher lows, higher highs, and so on. So as long as this low right in here doesn't undercut this low, we are still in that confirmed uptrend, and we are just looking for that next leg up. So that next leg up, if it's happens in one motion, that will be a higher high getting us above this high right here, which is, I think it was the 90. So that high was 10 cents, almost 11 cents. So if this is the next higher low, we can expect our next higher high to come in right around 11 cents, putting us up into this area. And we'll probably find a little bit of resistance up in there. And I say that because we have this prior overhead resistance for the price, which is, if you just draw another box around there, between 11 and looks like 13 cents. But sometimes it just takes a little bit of time here for the price to get moving. It's got a funky look to it, like a inverse head and shoulders here. The left shoulder, head, and then perhaps the right shoulder is building right now. Not perfect, but definitely a little bit of a rough pattern here. So that's kind of what I see for Casper. We are sitting at an area right now that I wouldn't be surprised if price found support where we're at right now. And I say that because we have this whole area over here where that price is looking like it's trying to find a footing in that area. So we already broke down below that, bottomed, traded up quite quickly. And now we're just doing a pullback here as the general market pulls back. But there is a lot of overhead resistance, basically all up in this area here for Casper, so keep that in mind. That's more of a short-term look here. More of a step back view is, I've mentioned, we're in a giant trading range, and everything inside this box is noise. And I say that because the top of this box is up here at like 23 cents, and the low end of this box is at the lows, which is around 5 cents. So anything between 5 and 23 cents is noise and normal trading action until we break out of this box, this range. So this is a step back view. I just went over a more in-depth view. So if we do start to head higher here and print those new highs at 11, probably pull back again, and then that'll get us back up to the upper end of that range. And then that's where things get real interesting. I believe that once we get back up to the top of that range, we'll actually get that breakthrough. So we had number 1, number 2, and then that third time it gets up there, I believe it's going to break through it, getting us up above that 23 cents or so into some new price discovery up in here. But that will take the rest of the market moving higher. And right now, not looking too great, at least today. And then to the downside. So let's say they pull the plug on the market and all assets, if not most, will follow Bitcoin. And this thing starts to fade lower. Well, your first area of support is going to be once again at that 5 cents. And if things get real ugly, you can expect Casper back down. Let's see here, back down to these lows, if not close to it, at 3 cents. Don't think that's going to happen at least anytime soon, but I do want to mention it, that if things get real ugly, you could see that happening. But that would do another thing as well. That would put the price back in a new trading box. So let me just, for example here. So if we do undercut that 5 cent low, which is we double bottomed in here, double bottom, that puts the price into a new trading box down here at the 3 cent area. And how long that lasts, if it lasts, who knows? And that would obviously not be good for the bulls. So enough of the negative pessimism on Bitcoin here and Casper. Let's say we are printing a higher low like I had just mentioned, which so far we have a higher low here and a higher low here. So we're still in that uptrend, and perhaps we're just waiting for that next move to get us up here into that new high, up into that 11 to 13 cent range, and then up here above the double top, perhaps breaking it on the third time. But it's going to take some work from Bitcoin and the rest of the market. Until then, just got to have some patience. That's kind of what I see here on Casper. So, all right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Let me know your comments down below in Casper. Keep your eye on that next higher high, basically above 11 cents. Keep your eye on the 200-day. Keep your eye on 13 cents. And then if things get real ugly, keep your eye on 5 cents. And obviously lower than that would be 3. Things would have to get quite bad for that to happen. But we're going to stick here with more of an optimistic view and looking for that next move higher. But you got to keep your eye on Bitcoin, because that thing is sitting at both breaking down below that wedge and then also putting in a new low today, which is still a confirmation of the lower highs and lower lows. So things aren't looking the most bullish today, but if you know anything about the crypto markets, it can change in minutes and hours. So before you know it, you could be in the green big time. All right, guys, gonna wrap it up for this video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I will catch you guys in the next video.